Ep.2. Hey everyone, my name is Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Sure, but through our own lens, honey, which can be salty, can be bitter, can be spicy. At the end of the day, hopefully, a little mildly sweet. Yay! We're here talking about episode 2 of the Hulu slash freeform docuseries The Deep End about YouTube spiritual guru slash cult leader Teal Swan. This is episode 2 called The Safe Place, which is what we want to give for you listeners, honey, a safe place to like digest whatever you're watching on TV or streaming. And in this situation, there is a lot of scary themes in this docu-series. So we want to give you a little trigger warning that if you don't want to hear about suicide and child abuse and sexual abuse and trauma, I don't know, watch something else of ours, like A Love After Lockup, which will probably have those things too, God bless, underneath it all. But we'll be talking about it directly because it's in this docu-series. Wah?
Yes, so we start off this episode where we get that Teal's intention is to build a company that is bigger than anything to oppose it. What she said in the last episode is that she wanted to have more of a spiritual, grounding. She must be a bigger spiritual leader than the Pope. So she would like hers, though, to be rooted in positive world change through her truth, which is the truth of taking like a cold hard look at your life and really making some choices based on what you see there. So there is a woman who so we see her retreat, right? So she has this retreat that it looks like she does it weekly. So weekly there are 10 people who like get off of a bus in the middle of Utah and they go to her home, and she, or at least her facility, and she runs them through the completion process, which is a way for them to become, I guess, teachers of the completion process in their own perspective areas. It's a little bit pyramid schemey type thing. And so we get a lot of information about this retreat, the safe space, the completion process from this episode. So people who come to this retreat, I mean, I don't know how many times they have to come to it in order to be like get their certificate in this, but it feels like there are people who've been there before. Like this is not their first time at the rodeo / Utah retreat camp.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, there's one person whose job is there to just like fan sage with bird feathers, and it feels very Native American and very cultural appropriative.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like she's going to utilize all the modalities to make money, and she does on YouTube and on TikTok, and she has the meet and greets and the lectures at hotels and event spaces. She also has these retreats that happen in her like commune home in Utah, which is beautiful, but also like very like boho hippie-esque in the sense where like each wall is a different statement wall. It's like this statement was pink and this statement was green. It's like instead of like a neutral color in one wall, all the walls different. But yeah, the same thing is we're going to see a lot of spiritual practices, from meditation usage to sage brushing to sound therapy. There's going to be sound bowls, and yeah, there's really one woman's job. We keep seeing her. It's just like she killed an eagle, honey. I mean, this woman, I took an eagle down and then ripped off the eagle's wings, and it's just like brushing people off. Like I couldn't do it without the feathers, honey. The feathers make it. Like I don't know about it, but it definitely feels like. I mean, if that is, maybe that is that woman's only job there, and how great for that woman, because like Blake has to literally like kiss every part of Teal's butthole and like also make sure the butthole, I'm sure, is like bleached and like hair free. We don't see that. We see him like hennaing her hair, but that Blake is giving her a wax as well. And he has to like do all the videos. And this woman's job is just to burn the sage, honey, and fan people with dead bird feathers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're not seeing just like, we're only seeing the surface things of what these people do for Teal, these volunteers. So it's like the inner circle / volunteers, the people who do not get paid. Mm-hmm. We've got Tristan, we've got Cyan, we've got Matthias, we've got Gracie. And Cyan is so interested in telling us that like that's not his real name.
which was obvious. And he's really smiley all the time.
Yeah, and he like obviously your name is Cyan because that's like printer blue, and Teal's name is Teal. Like I'm pretty sure if like all of them could change their name to a different like blue color, they would. Someone's name is blue, someone's name is sapphire, someone's name is I don't know.
Cobalt.
Yeah, it's just like like what are you talking about? You bet you didn't know my name was Cyan, which led me to believe that the producers of this show, they spent a lot of time with Teal and the crew. So much so that they were comfortable to say things that they probably would not have said in the very beginning. Whoever was the brainchild about like getting them comfortable and getting close with them was a genius because that's exactly what was needed for this. They were all so comfortable in front of the camera and to say things that I was like, oh wow, you don't hear that how that sounds? Huh, interesting.
Side note is, so we're in episode 2. Don't worry, my loves. When we get to episode 4, your girl me has done research to give you what Teal said about the docuseries after, and also there was a interview that our friend Kate Casey did on Reality Life with Kate Casey with the director. So yes, they spent a lot of time. They were there for like 2 years and spent holidays together. Like what Teal says about why and how she let these people in is like very, very intoxicatingly important. And so I will share that with us at the end of episode 4 when all is said and done. But yes, so Tristan, the event coordinator, is a lovely young girl who came from an Asian household and was in medical school, and she just dropped out of medical school, honey, because like her work is to heal with Teal, which I also think like half a Teal's thing is like it rhymes with heal, but you know, heal with Teal and have all the feels. I'm not quite sure. I said this last episode, but I want to go as Teal Swan for Halloween, my Halloween costume, and
you did not say that.
Okay, you're right. But I said it in my mind. And then I also think it's funny if like you had this is what I did say. It would be funny if her name was Turquoise Goose.
Yeah, you did say that.
One sounds so much better than Turquoise Goose, but it could have been either one.
Yeah. Yeah, turquoise goose. It's like duck, 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 goose. Or what's the other one? Cobalt duck. That's a male.
Oh, Cobalt duck.
Cobalt
Navy, Navy. What's another water bird? Navy seagull.
Okay. Navy seagull sounds really good.
Yeah.
Navy seagull. Okay. What about cyan? What's another water bird? Heron.
Oh, great one. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd get there, but you did.
Cyan heron.
Yeah, listen, that sounds great. Okay.
These are great options.
Great options. But yeah, Cyan is her. So they all have like names that are getting paid. So Tristan is the event coordinator, and Cyan, whom Wa mentioned, is the product manager. I'm not quite sure what product they're selling, except in like a PDF pamphlet, right, Wa?
Mugs, leggings, artwork, caftans. Lots of time to caftan.
Are they selling caftans?
Well, I mean, they're selling leggings. I feel like if you're selling leggings, you're selling anything.
How LaRue of her, you know?
Leggings are the hardest things to truthfully sell that actually work, because you know how many pairs of leggings that I have purchased that were a waste of my money because they did not fit me well?
Yeah, but there's a whole multimedia or MLM company called LaRue. All the Mormon people love LaRue, you know.
Half of them, it doesn't fit them well.
LaRue. I cannot say it. Well, that's subjective. Wow. We also, of course, have already met Mathis, who is the tennis coach, manager / person of her. And then we also meet Gracie, who is her personal assistant, who hasn't left her side in 7 years. We see Gracie just like putting lotion on her. And also, we talked about this in episode 1. Gracie is the person that's making a big batch of tea in a big pot, like army pot for people. We don't know what's in that tea, but my guessing is like ayahuasca and shrooms, like a mixture of ayahuasca and shrooms, honey. And she's always like pouring the tea into different owl mugs, different critter mugs. Who bought all the critter mugs? I think there must have been something where they went to like some fair and like Teal was feeling exceptionally generous that day and was like, everyone find your spirit animal in a mug. And that's when Blake was like, this unicorn's me, which he was right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Also, he couldn't find a goldfish one, which truly is him because he was stuck in a situation that never changed and he can get out of it. Ha ha ha. Well,
yeah. I mean, listen, this is a riveting show. Okay.
yeah.
It's a riveting show. And Gracie, I felt personally when Gracie came onto the scene, I felt personally attacked by Teal. And I don't know, I said, listen, Teal, you can do this to anybody else. You can do this to all these other people, but you cannot do it to Gracie. Gracie strikes me as a woman who is so vulnerable. And she probably thinks that Teal is the most beautiful, wonderful individual in the entire world. And Teal is completely taking advantage of her, whether it's on purpose or not. Gracie is the most, Gracie and Blake, I mean, it's hard to watch them do things for her. It's hard for me to watch an adult put lotion on another adult, and that adult is not Cardi B or somebody that's in some kind of outfit and they're getting ready to go on stage to perform in front of a million. Like, no.
I want to put lotion on you. You know that. I've also put lotion on you before.
Yeah, and it's awkward.
For you. But you know what it wasn't awkward for? Your skin, which needed it, honey. I did a Lord's work there and I will do it again. You know who I think about? Like Tristan's family. Can you imagine being Tristan's Asian family? She comes from an Asian household and like, God bless, like thinking that she's going to be like a doctor. And then she calls you and she's like, Dad, Mom, I'm dropping out of medical school to follow this woman named Teal Swan in Utah.
Well, we know why that happened, right? We know that Tristan grew up probably in a very traditional immigrant household. Maybe he's not. This is a guess. Her parents could be second generation, whatever Asian ethnicity she is. But like, it's when I see people who are like from culturally strenuous backgrounds where like you come to America and you become an engineer or a doctor and you get wrapped up in this, like Tristan was probably drowning. She was probably drowning. She was probably thinking of committing suicide. And this opened up and made her want to live again. So to a certain extent, when I hear someone tells me that they dropped out of medical school to go do this, I'm like, yeah, you did. I honestly feel like people shouldn't go through medical school or any kind of job where you don't have a passion for it because your parents want you to, because that's how they measure success. So yeah, I mean, she probably did let down the family, but that's why she's got to hold on to whatever Teal is selling. That is why we see the behavior we see in her in the latter episodes, is because she ain't got nowhere else to go. She can't just show back up afterwards.
God. And the thing with Sion/Matthew is that what he gives me is a lovely boy who perhaps was raised Mormon, but perhaps also like was coming to understanding of maybe some sexuality things that made him feel askew from that. I think that because, like you're saying, I bet there's also in Utah a couple of folks that are like ex-Mormons that are like rejected that for, you know, bird feather spirituality.
Yeah. So Juliana finally shows up and Teal says that she wants
like a conversation.
Yeah, she wants to have a conversation with Juliana about like where Blake fits in with all this. And she basically wants to let Juliana know that you're not going to come here and take him from me and have any kind of opposition. Like, we need to flow together, we need to vibe together, and we need to make sure that that flow and that vibe is cohesive and you're always on my side at every moment. And this is where we start to realize that, and this is a tactic, like, let me say, it's something that I've definitely done in my life where I'm like, oh, this is a new person into our fold. Like, I need to ensure that that new person is just as into me as they are into the other person in order for this to be cohesive. Because otherwise they're going to be whispering. It's girl politics, girl. Like, I don't know. I've had situations with a group of girlfriends, because I'm a polarizing figure. Okay. I'm somebody who I've had this happen to me maybe twice in my life with girlfriends where, because I'm who I am and I say whatever, I never, it's not like I'm mean to the friend, but a new person will come and that new person will be like, yeah, we don't really like her. We don't really like her. And then all of a sudden I'll have no friends. And I'm like, okay, so you were my friends before this person, but this person got here, and it's because the new person is the same energy as me, and that person just is like, no, I want this group of friends. I'm gonna take them over. And I'm like, oh. So I see the game that Teal is playing, but Teal is doing it so she's doing it from a place of like a king already on the throne, and then is now worried about being dethroned,
Mhm.
but is so used to being on top that they don't know how to do it in a sort of finessing type manner. What she should have done is just made Juliana her best friend. But instead, she chose to tell Juliana, "I'm watching you, and you're gonna have to make it so that we are cool." No,
Mhm.
girl, make Juliana your best friend because you need to keep Blake on your side and you need to keep Blake happy. But she didn't like see Blake's power and recognize it for what it was. So
Mhm.
she chose to strong arm it as opposed to doing the truly manipulative thing, which is what I would have done. Go ahead.
I'm learning so much about you as we review this. I like, who are you? Okay, but uh, I'm someone who will just put lotion on you happily. So yeah, like this conversation with Juliana is hard. Everyone's there. Also, everything always happens with everyone there. Though the film crew makes sure that we witness that Blake has his hand on Juliana's thigh, trying to somewhat comfort her and be there for her. Because Teal can be very direct in what she wants, and she is not afraid to ask for it, which is literally unbridled, unconditional loyalty and support, and no questions to ask by anyone, and always I'm the queen. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Oh yeah, I forgot to say this. That before she gets there, her and Blake are on the bed talking, and he's like basically rubbing her feet while he tells her that she's still sexy as hell because she's like, I'm worried that Juliana is gonna come here and take you from me. And I'm
Uh,
just like,
that actually doesn't happen right
oh,
there. I love you so much. That happens when they gonna get married. But I love you so much. Yeah. So they do have a conversation. It's not when he's rubbing her feet. That happens when he tells her that they're gonna get married after she already gets there. So Z's wozies. You guys, I'm like a freaking stickler about these notes. I'm trying so hard. I did the same thing to Wa in the first episode too. Wa just wants to go on her.
I'm gonna let you lead it. I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, so then listen, Blake comforts her and is like, yeah, Teal can be kind of intense. And Juliana's like, mm-hmm. And then we next shot is Teal on a podcast. Now it's not Joe Rogan, okay, and it's not like that blonde girl that has a popular one. I'm not quite sure. Call me Daddy or something. I'm not quite sure, but this girl has a Miona beauty ponytail, so you should know that, and also hoop earrings. And this girl's, white. Okay, so but she's asking the hard hitting questions, was basically like, are you a cult leader? And Teal's like, no. And the woman's like, well, why do people call you a cult leader? And she's like, because it scares people off. And it's, they're like, oh, I guess that's also true. And then Teal's like, no, I'm not a cult leader because cult leaders are not looking at their own shadows. And this girl kind of has to like be like, okay.
Like, yeah, you're right. What can the girl do though, right? She's hosting a podcast, and she probably she's not an investigative journalist. She's not even just someone who's slightly curious the way, or like, in terms of being curious, the way our good friend Kate Casey is. So
Mhm.
like she's softballing it. Like she's asking the hard questions, but allowing the frou-frou fluff of answers to be what it is.
Mm-hmm. Teal will always have an answer. So, in the classic psychologically, sociopathic way, she is smart and she's very manipulative and she's uses tactics to circle talk as well as like say something, seemingly meaningful and deep, but it's it's just like a script of different lines that she has like said over the years or in videos that she can now like pull up at any time, almost like a comedian, like, give me a subject, I got something for you. It's in a lot of ways a master at work. And to watch these interviews is great. So Blake, we also got back at the house, and Blake then has a call with with a cop. He's like, I gotta call the cops, and Juliana's there, and everyone's looking at him. And the cop picks up the phone. It's like, what you got going on? Which I thought was like, this cop does not care about this situation at all. And then Blake's like, well, we've got numerous threatening emails and messages from a lady. And then when he reads the lady's messages, it's also clear that it's not just like some obsessed fan, it's someone who had gone through the program and is asking for their money back and saying like, if you don't give me my money back, I'm going to expose you and that you're horrible and evil. It's not like I'm going to come kill you. It's like, you've done me wrong. Now I'm sure there's probably a lot of emails. And the cop's like, okay, we'll go check on her. And I thought, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Teal thinks that this person's a hater. She will liken herself to many different things, different celebrities, different spiritual leaders. And this thing, she likens herself to a pop star. She gives this metaphor that a pop star can be called, whatever, a bitch, and that pop star will still sell records. But if Teal herself is labeled as dangerous, well, that hurts her career. And so it's not the same, and it's not fair.
Yeah, but girl, you were the one who you're out here playing on people's emotions, calling yourself a spiritual leader. Like, that is why this is changing your hurting your career. And it's so crazy. I'm like, girl, I don't even know who you are. And you're talking about your career as though like, I want to know how much money she makes. I want to know who knows how much money she makes. I want to know if they all know, the inner circle, how much money they bring in, and they all know that they are still considered volunteers.
I think it's a very good point, because Blake has to know. Blake has to know. Only because like if you have access to the YouTube account, you can just look, and then I don't think that she's so smart at finances. I'm surprised that someone isn't her business manager, but I guess maybe I don't know if Mathis does that work as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's also a thing because like if you're a pop star, you are, for all subjective purposes, an artist. And so as a society, sometimes we either separate the art from the artist or not. I think that, definitely there's cancel culture, and that can also happen too. But for a lot, it's kind of like, well, this person's an artist, and so like this and that. But you aren't an artist, Teal. You are putting yourself as a philosopher, forefront of spirituality and the human condition in such a way that, like, yeah, if you are an expert in the human condition, then you can't be a fucking psychopath. You can't be like, if you think that you're going to like help someone's mental state, you better have a very strong, good mental state.
Yeah.
Like a pop star is not going to sell records if a pop star's biggest thing is like, this person can't make music. Well, listen, that's subjective as well. God bless too. But so as she's talking about the haters in her life, and she's talking about how wrong she is in the internet, and she's just like, just whatever, just complaining to all of her not unpaid volunteers around her, and she's like, well, what is the message the universe is trying to tell me? That in order for me to truly make in this world, I have to marry a billionaire? Why is everyone so quiet? Doesn't anyone care about these things? And I want to be like, why do you not care if I should marry a billionaire? What do you care, about my struggles?
So someone who could just constantly and consistently fund her nonsense. That's why she wants to marry a billionaire. It's not because I just like, that's why I want to know, how much money is there then? Are you just greedy? Where you're like, how much are you actually losing when someone puts up something negative about you?
You're right.
Like, you have merch, you have a YouTube channel, and people are going to go watch your YouTube channel simply from watching this documentary. So your numbers went up whatever month this dropped. Yeah. Then you've got your seminars that you go around doing, which I'm pretty sure each picture you're charging Chris Brown prices for someone to do a meet and greet with you. Mm-hmm. And then you're getting money from your retreats, people coming to get their like whatever. And I'm pretty sure you have your Cash App or your Venmo somewhere, and people are just tipping you. So you are making money. You just want to hoard and make more? You're not even paying anybody.
She has her OnlyFans where she has her unmanicured feet. She's making money that way. She does frequency footprint drawings.
That is so weird. I get so mad at women who do half of the makeup, half of the beauty routine. Like you have on a lot of eyelashes and a lot of eyeliner and shadow, but you don't do your eyebrows. Like you put on eye makeup, kohl around your eyes. You make sure that your hair is perfectly like reddened each quarter, and but you don't, and you wear sequins, but you don't do your toenails. Like I just am like, I don't understand this. Do it all or none.
The sequence is probably the most baffling part for me. Like, I don't get it at all, except that maybe she was like, when I see people on stage, I like the fact that light reflects off of them. Like, where she buy all the sequins? It has to be like once off Saks that she went to and just like got on a sale. I'm so mad about the sequins. I'll never get over it.
Maybe
But
Grace makes it for her.
oh, poor Gracie, honey. She's when Gracie has one that is killing the birds to give the other lady to like give bird wind baths. I'm not quite sure. So they have enough money, however, to hire, Mathis does, a private investigator to combat some of the naysayers online. Because if they can hire a third party that's not involved, to release some sort of report, they can look at the report and be like, see, we're not a cult and we're not horrible because this woman said so. And this woman is Molly. Now, Molly gives us like an aunt from the Midwest, honey, who like loves cats and definitely watercolors and like puts different. Another thing, she has a lot of different color blues in her home, which now that like Wall brought it up, it's like, I wonder if teal was just looking online and like Math is like, look, we're gonna get an investigator. Here are some options. And she looked at Molly, was like, oh, she likes blue.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't get that they were trying to like debunk. I thought that Mathis at least was really trying to understand if they did fall under the category of cult, and if things that Teal said were dangerous. I actually thought that he was really trying to see it, and I think that he wasn't. Yeah, I'll give my thoughts about what happens later, but I just think that Mathis. I trust that Mathis came from a place of like, yeah, let's get a. We're too far into it. Let's do a pulse check, and I thought that was smart to do.
I can see that. I love Molly. I mean, Molly is by far the best character in the docuseries for me. Like, absolutely. She's gonna have fun glasses. She's going to, talk about how she misses the old days of newscasters where, wasn't just like billionaires owning different media outlets, purporting the news in whatever way they want.
And I said when, Molly. That's never like media. Like, okay, sorry, let me back up. Molly is not educated when it comes to people owning publications that the public consumes, because conglomerates or robber barons have owned publications since the printing press was created. There has always been some body or group of people who has swayed whatever political leanings, whether it's the labor unions or I don't know, the way the colonization is going in other countries. There has always been a group of millionaires who have controlled the way we receive information and media and newspapers. Like even in like shanty fucking wild west, like there was always the guy who owned the printing press and was the herald, and they were always subject to being tarred and feather if they put something in that the people didn't like what, there's never been a time where the news outlets just did the news and didn't have any kind of political leanings. There's whoever owns it controls what is being printed or said. So anyways, I thought that was really weird that Molly said that.
I get that. What do you think of her Rolodex, Well?
I thought her Rolodex was great.
I knew you would.
I said she's got it in both places, and she knows how to use the computer, and she relies on the old fashioned type stuff. I also love the fact that she was like gonna wear that red lipstick whether you could see it on her top lip or no.
So Molly starts to do her deep dive, and she jumps off the deep end. Okay, but she's going to talk to a leader of a suicide prevention organization and kind of be like, well, what's the deal? And he's like, look, there's basically no quality control for these videos that Teal puts out. We don't know the mental state of the person listening. So there is no like aftercare or care or watching. You're just literally putting out something blindly without any sort of repercussions of what could be done to the person that's intaking it. And there is like no overreaching organization to check you, to tell you if like what you're putting out there is false. And we're living in a age of fake news, and not knowing, and people are just wild on the internet with conspiracy theories anyway. So we can see the damage that's been done in a lot of ways, for how deeply people get into crazy conspiracy QAnon bullshit. And that's just like one way. And then if you take on top of that someone who is desperately suicidal, it's just a whole freaking different level, I guess. But Molly does her due diligence. She talks to that person. She also talks to people that love the videos and like think that Teal is doing the Lord's work and either been helped by her or not. And by the way, Molly, for all intents and purposes, is definitely conducting these interviews either online through Zoom or using, my God, look at this landline phone, honey. A landline phone. And look how serious she looks here. I mean, I love Molly versus Teal. And anyway, I don't know. One of the people that Teal, I guess, helped or whatever, says that, that she was turned off by therapists in the healthcare system, that she went to one and that she didn't feel compassion and that it was hard for her to stay with that person, and money is money. And so having Teal to turn to for guidance was like, great for her.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I think that sometimes I think that the world of like behavioral science thinks of themselves a little too much, especially with the beginnings of the way that they treated people in this industry, or with people with mental health issues, and it's because they don't know, right? They don't know. They're just like conducting studies and like torturing people to get like information. And I don't know. I like them because I go to them to be a sounding board and to get my Xanax. But other than that, I'm like, you don't know just as much as Teal doesn't know. The only difference is that you went to school for it and she didn't.
Well, I disagree with you. I think there's definitely people I love you, and that's why we're on the show. But yeah, I definitely think that there's people that know what they're talking about, and better than Teal does. But let's get back to Blake and Juliana. Our love story. They're going to give us their meet cute experience, which is basically this. Ha ha ha, how cute. Juliana is a huge follower of Teal and went to this completion process retreat. And, Blake is like Blaking around, like making the jokes and making some tea. And, like he watches Juliana and they like get paired together for an exercise, and later on he like gives her like a flirty massage, which also sounds great. And I wonder what kind of massage it is. Like, he's very good at using his hands. I'm like, if it was a foot massage, I think I'd be in, especially if he went in on those knuckles. And he's like, it might have been, a little bad for me to do that. But 8 months later, she moved here. And he talks about how it's his first time committing to someone, which I wanted to know 1,000 things. Like, 'cause we know that after Teal and Blake broke up, she got married for five times. And whether those were polyamorous relationships or whether she was monogamous is one thing. And whether, Blake has lived his life in these years, like kind of like also being in polyamorous relationships, like in a hippie commune. They're definitely, Teal and Blake talk about people who have been at the retreat before or living in the house, and how some things didn't work out. And I can assume that Blake had brought women to the house that for some reason it didn't work out for whatever ways, and Teal uses that as a way to then try and hyper control the Juliana situation as being like, well, you've made mistakes, but
she's made mistakes too 5 times. So I don't understand that. Like, I just think that it was really silly of her. It's a hyper ultra controlling thing. And I think what it is that he's never probably felt comfortable dating other people with Teal around, because she's probably also like made statements because these women were probably more like her than anything. But Juliana, like, I don't know that she could really, she wasn't able to stop that from happening.
Yes, absolutely. Juliana is an ingenue, and Teal is the leading lady.
Yeah.
It's very oh no. What's that movie from
Cyrano
the
de Bergerac.
No. No one really
Um,
knows. Uh
Othello.
okay, well this could happen for years, but it's not that one. Okay, I love you so much. Thank you so much for doing the work of just pulling it out there. But basically we get to this scene that Wah loves. Wah is the drink.
Oh, are we finally there? Okay,
Yeah.
so she tries to have a conversation. Teal tries to have a conversation with Blake about Juliana and
Oh,
says,
wrong scene. You had talked about this scene in episode 1. Okay. Wah. So we get this drink situation. They're always drinking something. Okay.
lemonade.
Yeah, the lemonade scene. Go ahead.
Oh wait, so Juliana's already here. Did we talk about the feet? Okay, we already talked about it.
He's gonna marry her.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. So Juliana gets there and they're all outside having a good old time, right? They're sitting around and they're just enjoying the simple things in life. Because every time, like whenever I watched that scene, I was like, what are they doing? Like, are these like people who are like, it's beautiful outside, let's just go sit around? Like, oh my God, like Chris, the introvert in me could not just hang out with people 24/7. So to watch
You could hang out with me 24/7. You just wouldn't talk to me. I know that. I would know that Waz in her time where we're gonna be in the same room, but Waz will just be on TikTok, or listening to an Audible. But we're in the same room.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so then they have to sit outside together. Like I'm like, I want to sit outside, but with none of you around me. So they're sitting outside laughing about God knows what. And then they all have like a cup of like lemonade in front of them, and then somebody pours another cup of something in front, like blue, and it turns purple. And they're all just so like gracious and loving of the benefit of life. Like it is just so hippy dippy. It was too much for me. And
It's like literally Kool-Aid, which is like also like you are all drinking this Kool-Aid, honey, or whatever. And like Teal looks at it and it's like, oh, it's pink. It's the color of Blake's aura. And also, by the way, one of the colors of the pop walls they decided to do, where every wall is a different color. God bless wall.
I just love it that Teal also like wants to let Juliana know that she knows so much more about Blake than Juliana does. And it's like, girl, duh, you have all known each other for like 16 years. Like that is so annoying. Like, girl, can you just make space for me? And Juliana seemingly isn't saying anything. She just is like giving us like, strawberry blonde Ariel. Like she's just freckle faced and blue eyed. And she's just like the way that and maybe this could be, the observation of the producers, but they shine Juliana in a very ingenue, I don't know much, but what I know is this light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like, we're on her side immediately, and we immediately see Teal's daggers for her.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it's so unflattering for Teal. And I'm like, girl, you really are not able to smell your shit right now.
Yeah, you're not looking at your shadows, honey. You're not looking at them. I completely agree. Again, I'll say this: like, Juliana looks like Nicole Kidman, specifically if Nicole Kidman had straight hair, but specifically also in the movie Far and Away. Joseph, if you know what I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's a great movie. I know like Top Gun Maverick is supposed to be like, I don't know, Tom Cruise's like best movie or like highest grossing movie of all time, but it really absolutely should be Far and Away. Okay, so the next scene is then we meet this person named Amir, who has come to the retreat. It's not his first time at the retreat. He has been before. And when he was here before, he lamented that he thought it felt like a cult, but he's back for round 2 or 3 or 4. We're not quite sure. Amir has a very intense energy and gaze, very much off-putting to me, and the kind of energy that I would never be able to be around. It would give me such anxiety. You can tell that his mind is a mess. That it's not. It's very hard for him to think. He probably stutters a lot, or like I'm doing right now. But I think it's hard for him to get his mind to focus. He absolutely should be on medication. I don't know if he is or not. And that's another thing about this kind of work. There are people that have to be on medication. But if you do blanket statements like the psychiatry field doesn't know what they're talking about, whatever, then it's very easy to be like meds or whatever. And Teal does. Teal's like, oh, listen, other people just want to give you a red button saying this will make me feel better. And they'll push the red button. And that's why the pharmaceutical industry is so intense. But we're not in the business of the red button. We're in the business of healing. Okay. I understand where you're coming from. It's a process, but also some people need to be on medication because their minds don't have the same chemistry balance. It'll be easier and a better life for them to not have to wade through the mud. Having said that, Amir has like a conversation with someone, and then he has a talk with Teal. Teal's like, what do you want out of this? What do you want from me? And he answers, closeness. And he God bless, has this word thinking. And she's like, well, do you know what it's like talking to you? I mean, there's no cohesive thought. And it's like, yeah, but why are you saying that to him like in an accusatory way? You aren't able to help or sit with someone. You just blame them for it. And you can't just like, I think this is like a strong situation where you realize that she is so untrained with how to deal with people that when confronted with someone who truly would need help, she is unable to give it. Now at this moment also he also says, well, maybe I'm just here because I have a crush on you, I'm sexually attracted to you, and I want to be close to you, and I want to like see what that is. And she takes this in and then uses it against him and makes fun of him about it to her inner circle. And that's another reason why she isn't worth shit. Why?
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. I do think that at that point, it's clear that there are some cases of mental health and behavioral science that she is unequipped to manage. And I think that she definitely, it was rude of her to talk shit about Amir, but then also she like decides that she's going to help Amir talk to his mother. So then she goes and takes advantage of him in that form because now she's like, okay, I'm going to bring her up, and then uses Juliana, who she refers to as a rock with unpolished edges. Meanwhile, Juliana's just sitting there looking like, strawberry. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Juliana's doing nothing, but she's already like imprinting on her negativity. And so she gets geeked out or weirded out by Amir's admitting that he's attracted to her. And she freaks out and she's like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm like, girl, you are the one who are calling people with different issues to your home. So you need to know what to do with that. And if you don't know what to do with that, that's where you need to go. Amir, thank you so much for sharing. I absolutely appreciate you saying what you say, saying what you said. And as I'm talking to you and you're not having a coherent thought for me to help you, I realize that you are on a trajectory that I cannot assist you with. I'm here for people who are blah 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 blah. And based on what you're saying, you don't fit under that category. So full refund and all the best. That's what she needed to do with him, but she didn't do that. She then tried to go and like go deeper and then use Juliana as like a medium. She like calls up his mother after she talks mess about him to the inner circle and says how uncomfortable she is. Calls up his mother who has passed, who he loves deeply, and uses Juliana as a conduit to be the host for that. And then this is where I'm a little annoyed with Juliana because I'm like, are you just trying to fit in, sis? Like, what are you guys? Are you actually drinking like frog leg hormones or whatever to get you to where you are now, truly believing that you are helping this man by pretending to be his mother? And the woman, and Juliana said nothing that wasn't snake oil, that wasn't just like a fake anything that anyone who has mommy issues or daddy issues would love to hear from their parent.
Yeah. Basically, we know that Amir's mom had committed suicide when he was really young. And Teal is like, listen, when we do these channeling things, it is your mom. It's a whole thing. And so Juliana, who's like never done that before, is like basically like, okay. And she like just has her hair in her face and she's like crying. And she's like, I blame myself, like whatever. And Amir has like a whole breakdown. Also, when Teal is talking about Amir later on in front of her inner circle, it reminded me of the mean girl that would want to flaunt males' affections and how they annoy her. Like, there's this part of like a immaturity that I'm gonna say, like, I don't know, I can also experience it as like a mean girl, where a girl will just be like, oh, it's so gross. No, Bobby totally told me how he like like wants to like have sex with me so bad, and it's like, it's like gross. Like I would never, and like it makes me like it's one thing, of course, you don't want to have like you don't want to be threatened by any male sexuality, but in this situation you're not. I mean, this person is very much talking to you like you're a priest or a therapist, and he makes a confession to you. And so for her to have like such a very superficial kind of vain reaction, this reminded me of someone who is an ego narcissist who in fact very much likes it. And then she also says, it just brings back all the old shit, how, I use my sexuality in a demonic way to attract people. And when she said it, I was like, oh, it's a good choice.
Yeah, I think people have said that to her before, that she uses her sexuality and she doesn't like that. She doesn't like to be seen as somebody who uses their sexuality to reel men in. Yeah, it is quite annoying. And like obviously, if once Amir admits that his mother passed away of suicide, like obviously that means that whatever mental illness was upon her could be upon him and other siblings, right? Like it's hereditary at that point.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it truly does feel predatory. And then after Juliana did such a good job pretending to like be this mother, that's when she finally like lets go and starts to be say like, oh, I guess she is okay, I guess she is on board. Cool.
Yeah. Juliana starts to feel somewhat taken in by the members of the inner circle. We have a scene where they all play Cards Against Humanity together, which was LOL to me because I was like, don't you have to have like a sense of humor to play that? Like, they seem like the most boring people to play anything with. God bless, especially a fun card game. Um, she will put a lot of words on people, saying that she tells her people that they are the people who will change the world, not just think the world has to change, that they can turn cyanide into honey, and that she wants um you know to make this work you have to choose Teal's mission as your mission, Blake says, which is you have to say yes to Teal. You have to, whatever Teal wants is what you have to do. And Blake tells Juliana this, and is happy that Juliana's at this point fitting in. We go back to our favorite person, Molly, honey, and she's using that landline to talk to, just kidding, I think it's actually a video call, Jared, who is a former member of Teal's inner circle, who is, by the way, using one of those standing desks. You know what I'm saying? Like he's getting his steps in. I'm not quite sure. With those standing desks, I'm always like, wait, so you just want to stand? You don't want to like...
Usually they go up and down. I have them at work too. So, because sometimes you're sedentary too much and you just have to stand. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, Jared had left Mormonism and had gotten a divorce when he found Teal and her teachings, that's fine. And he started helping her sell her frequency paintings and making her websites. And Molly's like, those frequency paintings, like, those ever work? And he's like, I literally stayed to make money one for like 4 years, never made a dime. Literally didn't make a dime from her.
You know what? Here's the truth about this is what I feel about Jared. Jared is a fucking idiot. Like, I don't care. His perspective isn't one of a stupido. Like he went from one all-encompassing religion to an all-encompassing cult, got caught up, chose not to pay child support, did everything that Till said like a sheep, and now wants to blame her for it. No, 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 no. I don't like he needed to say, the way he needed to frame it was that I was vulnerable and I went in and allowed someone to tell me not to pay for my children's livelihood. And that's my bad. And I'm working on being a stronger person. Like, don't blame her for that.
It's so interesting. When we see him, he has child paintings in the back, but they look like brand new child paintings, like a 2-year-old at that moment. So I didn't think that when he got divorced in 2011 that he had already had kids.
Oh, but he stopped paying child support. That's one of the things that stood out to me in my mind 100%, that she told him to stop paying child support and that he put all of his money towards her.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So like with that, I'm like, no, you don't get to blame her. Like you did that. You're an adult and you made choices to do that.
You're right. So Molly was like, well, what was it like when you left? And he's like, well, she got everyone to gang up on me and said, if I were you, I'd go kill myself because there's no hope for you. And he said at that point that, he had told her that he was also willing to kill someone and bury them in the backyard. And I'd be like, well, let's check the backyard because where are those 5 ex-husbands?
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you don't get to come on camera saying that you told someone you would kill people. Like she doesn't have magical powers. You're a simp.
And now we get to Wa's favorite scene that she can't wait to recount to us, that she's been waiting on bated breath. Then what happens, Wa?
Is this the foot scene?
Yes, Wa.
Okay, great. So then Blake decides he's going to marry Juliana.
Mm-hmm.
And Teal thinks it's too soon. And I said, bitch, where are your 5 husbands? Don't tell this cuddly unicorn that he is not allowed to love Juliana, who is equally just as great. Don't say that, because then again, you are not doing your job as a master manipulator. You are being an idiot. He sits on the bed with her and he tells her that he wants to marry Juliana. And she's like, when? He's like, in 2 weeks. And she's like, oh, okay, well, isn't that a little too quick? And he's just like, well, I mean, like, what the fuck is holding us back? Like in his mind, he doesn't say that to her. He speaks to her very whatever. And then he says, don't worry, I still think you're sexy as hell, which I was like, someone tell Juliana immediately, so she can make an informed decision about marrying this person. And he's like, I'll still be here for you. We're aligned on that. And then she's like, well, I just, don't want things to change. And I said, you again are not looking at your shadow. This is the first time that he has found love with someone that you from the onset in a hot tub before she even got there was talking shit about her coming. You were okay taking her money. But when your right-hand man falls in love with her, you are like, oh no, she's whatever, she's going to come here and think I'm this. And when this girl has said nothing to you or nothing about you, she is truly here for Blake. And if Blake is going to be on your side, then she's going to be on your side.
I know Teal takes this information, and then because she's a classic narcissist, it's only about her. So she's like, well, I've noticed, I've been watching Julia, that she doesn't react when you touch me or when you like talk to me or when we have moments. Like, she doesn't react, and that's a good thing. And I thought to myself, how many awkward stare downs that Juliana knew that Teal's beady blue eyes were staring
watching her.
Yeah, as like Blake either touches Teal and just like, say something, bitch. And Juliana had to be like, my heart sank in that moment. I mean, that was a great. I mean, that was a moment where there is no way you can't feel the narcissism off of that. It's like, for some reason, who can't feel it is Blake at this point, unless maybe subconsciously he has been feeling it, and thusly he got himself out and started the train, which is Juliana and her caboose. Ha ha ha. Wah.
I think that he did start to feel it, especially when Molly, and I feel like this happened in this episode, so if I was wrong, let me know. Because, while Molly is doing her research, she asks Jared about like the contract or whatever. And then she ends up asking Blake about it. And I feel like, I don't know chronologically when that happens, but I feel like that was when Blake probably started to think like, oh, yeah, she does have a contract and makes us sign it.
They show aspects of Juliana and Blake's wedding. It's as hippy dippy as you want. She's like wearing some sort of like,
Oh, I have a picture.
Oh, look at you having a picture. It's a beautiful wedding. It's like very, Utah is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So there is so many gorgeous vistas and the nature part. The parts of this comedy that look great are when they're like swimming together or jumping into a pond or, just enjoying the view or, like the parts that sound horrible are when you're getting fanned down by bird feather woman. But the wedding does look great. And they definitely have shots of Teal off to the side like some bridesmaid, who I was also surprised that Teal wasn't the officiator of the wedding. I almost feel like I would think that Teal would be. But she's not. She's like almost like a bridesmaid off to the side and just staring at them as they are just in puppy love, ingenue love, young lover love.
Yeah.
They've only been together a month and 2 weeks in real time. Besides, it had been 8 months since they first met. So we're also looking at two people that are in lusting love. They're infatuated. They're just like having sex all the time. You know, like they're living like two teens.
And I say they're in their 30s at the very least. So let it happen. Like there's no judgment on how fast they got married from me.
No, I know. I'm not saying that. Yeah, it's just especially the guise of where they are. You know, like they're not in a situation where Blake is like, no, I gotta like save some money in my corporate job just so we can buy it. You know, like in their minds, they're like living in this lifestyle forever. So what's one day from another? You know, as he says, he's like a fish. He is one of the fish that he so lovingly cares for in a bowl as life goes by, but nothing changes.
Yep.
That was the end of this episode for me, Wah.
I haven't watched it in 2 weeks, so I honestly don't know where the end of the episode is for me. But I just truly am, in this episode, starting to see her for who she is, Teal. And I'm like, oh God, you're so annoying. Like, I want you to be better at this. Like, when are we gonna get a cult leader who pays their people? Like, when are we gonna get a cult leader who doesn't make them sign a fucking stupid ass contract? When are we gonna get a cult leader who doesn't make them all live together or like do the same things over and over again? Because you could do it. Just let people go in and out. Just make sure you're on the up and up. Like, cult leaders need HR. They just need HR. They need somebody there to be the checks and balances to the like crazy.
I mean, what's a cult leader if not an influencer? You know?
They still need an HR. They need someone to say like, hey, I see why you want to do that. However, that is going to get you in trouble in the future. Instead, do this.
Well, listen, guys, start your cults better and pay
Listen,
well. Pay well.
I'll help you.
Also, if you need someone to put lotion on you, that's me. Also, I'll be there to tell you what you should eat at any given time. It's always going to be yummy. Gosh, listen, there's more to be had. We have 2 more episodes of this really intoxicatingly good docuseries. We also want to say that if you know anyone or you yourself has thought about suicide, or you have some trauma or abuse from your life, and or you know someone that needs help, please reach out to appropriate resources. People that are trained, people that can lead you to actual healing. And my heart goes out for all of us who knows what it's like to want connection and love, because this world is devoid of it. And I find that living in that can be really, really difficult. There are communities for you to reach out to. Wow.
Also, I want to say that not everybody that's trained can actually get you to be healthy. So just be aware of that too. It's a long, arduous process to try to find someone, and it's expensive, and it's not the best for people who don't have money. And so then you have people like Teal who come in who do free shit on YouTube, which snatches you up. So if you're frustrated out there, keep trying, keep, making the efforts to get yourself the help that you need. And just know you're not alone.
That is one thing this docuseries, I don't know why I can't think of it, what it is. The one thing this docuseries does hit home is how many people truly feel lost and alone. And so many people that if people can come together, they're not alone and they're not lost. It's one of the things that Teal can play upon. Having said all of that, we'll be talking about the next 2 episodes coming up soon. You can follow us on Instagram at DocuSweeties and TikTok as DocuSweeties1, and as well as on Twitter. Maybe, I'm not quite sure. However, if you want to see our glorious faces, or you want to see Molly's landline phone, or you want to see the sequins that Teal's obsessed with, or perhaps how lovely Blake and Julian are together, you can. Wow, how would they?
You can do that by coming on to patreon.com/DocuSweeties and joining our Patreon for $10 a month, where you get exclusive and fast content from us. So
yeah,
Yep.
that's honestly all I want in a relationship, just like exclusivity and fast responses, and for us to move real fast, honey, just like Juliana and Blake.
Yeah.
Because that's how you know it's true love. Is this real? We're not quite sure. I'm trying to make jokes, but at the end of the day, thank you guys so much. We love you so, and stay tuned for more. Please give us 5 stars and subscribe to our podcast. You know how it is. All right, booze. Bye.
Bye.